Great morning, kings and queens. This is another conversation with Drew. Man, it's such an honor to come to you guys on this fantastic Friday. Blessed to be able to share my gift with you guys, to be able to express the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of God, that He's blessed me with in this short time on this earth, to be able to pour out and pour into you guys, that you may find the best version of yourself and discover the greatest you, in this lifetime, and learn how to serve your gift selflessly into the earth. I wanted to come to you this morning and just, briefly talk about, positive thinking, being optimistic, having such a strong belief system, truly walking in the divine principle of faith, something that's not religious, that's universal. And it's so amazing when you fully grasp it and really embrace, your thinking. I just recently read this quote from Simon T. Bailey. And Simon T. Bailey, he said, the well that you drink from will be the well that you think from. And inevitably, eventually, it will be the well that you become. And so that basically means that if you're drinking from a well of negativity, you'll start thinking negatively, and then you'll become negative. If you're drinking from a well of optimism, you'll start thinking optimistically, and then you'll become optimistic, and therefore you'll produce that fruit. It's so amazing, understanding that that's a principle. And that's why I continue to pour in daily positive things into me, drink daily from positivity, drink daily from optimism, because I understand that it's a principle. And if I continue to drink from that and think from that, then eventually I'll become that and manifest that fruit. It's so beautiful to know that a seed is not drinking from the fountain of a leaf. The seed is not drinking from the fountain of a blade of grass. The seed is not drinking from that. It's drinking from the fountain of of a tree, and therefore it thinks as a tree and only a tree. It doesn't want to be a cat. It doesn't want to be a dog. It doesn't want to be the air. It just wants to be a tree, and therefore inevitably it'll become that tree. And so when you understand that positive thinking, our conscious mind, being force-fed positive things, whether it's videos, audios, books, conversations, you have to understand that eventually you'll become that. Why? Because you're thinking about that constantly. And it's a principle. It's a law that's in the earth. It has nothing to do with race, religion, creed, ethnicity. It has nothing to do with that. Economic status. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you and a principle, and abiding and living by that principle, and knowing that it's a principle. It's so amazing, just yesterday, being blessed, to have this understanding and going throughout my day and, starting the day off, in such a blessed way by, honoring my Father in prayer and, going on and meditating on the positivity and the optimism and the expectation of my day, and being able to then share the video I shared with you guys yesterday and, having a great experience throughout the day. And it's just such a blessing just to see how that it snowballs. And it continues to expand. It continues to grow, right? And it was just so dope, hanging out with King Keith Camp yesterday. And we're up at Easton, man. And, we're sitting down and we're breaking bread. And I'm sharing things with him. He's sharing things with me. And we're building and masterminding. And it's just amazing. We ran into this couple, right? We got our B apparel on. And we ran into this couple. Energy was on a trillion, right? And the wife was Irish. The father was from Italy. And, they had their son who was in college, right? And they just was like, man, we love the shirts. Can you, explain a little bit more about, the meaning behind it? And so we go into it and we shared, of course, again, our energy is on a trillion and we just move them so much. When they're just so intrigued, and of course we exchange information, and the father is the I want to say he was the principal or president over Prestige high school here in the Columbus, Ohio area. And before we was about to leave, the mother said to me, she said, to us, she said, if one thing that you can share, knowing that you guys speak about this, what's one thing that you can give to our son who's struggling, to find out what it is he wants to do while he's about to return back to college. And so we poured into him, but we walked away and we were just so honored and so blessed, because here it is, we're two African-American males and in a predominantly white area. And God was showing us how our thinking and expectation to be so great, to be able to serve our gifts selflessly, because we drink from it every single day. And so we think this way. And so we become that. And we're two African-American male, me being a huge dominant sized male, which can be intimidating to white people. But they felt the energy and they loved it so much that they asked our advice. They wanted to know from our experience, from our wisdom, being from a different culture, being from a different belief system, being from different experiences, how can we help their son? That was so amazing to us. You know what I mean? We couldn't do nothing but give God glory and honor, because we're looking like, man, how is it that we never met these people before? We come from different backgrounds, different belief systems, but here it is. They're wanting advice. They're wanting our experiential knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on how to speak something into their son who's seeking his purpose in life. And it's so amazing when you understand that whatever well you drink from will be the same well that you think from, and eventually will be the well that you become. When you understand this principle, kings and queens, you'll start literally getting into a place of positivity, of optimism, of nothing but the truth. And eventually you will have to become what you are seeking. Eventually you will become whatever it is that you're drinking. I'm telling you. That's why the saying is, you are what you eat. If you eat poor, you'll be poor. So if you eat McDonald's and cheap food, then that's what your body will become inevitably. Why? Because that is a principle, it is a law. So it's as the same thing for the food. It goes with our conscious mind, our conscious thinking. Whatever it is that you're drinking, meaning that whatever well that you're drinking from, if it's expectation to be great, if you're drinking from the well of expectation to be great, it says then that whatever well that you drink from is the same well that you would think from. So therefore, your expectation of your thinking to be great, you'll have continuously on your mind. Then it says that eventually that'll be the well you become. So you will become the expectation. You will become great. Why? Because that's the only thing that you're drinking from and thinking from. And as a man think in his heart, so is he. This is a principle and a law. And so it was just amazing to be able to have that experience yesterday as we was walking. But it just didn't start there. As I was going to meet King Keith Camp, it was so powerful because I seen this older couple. They was probably in their late 60s, early 70s. And it was amazing because the wife on her left foot, she had a boot like she just had surgery. And the husband on his left foot had one of those soft shoes, like he's at the end of his recovery from his surgery. And they were both just clinging to one another, and I stopped them. I mean, mind you, this was a white couple, older white couple. And that's why I said, man, when you are in purpose, race, religion, creed, it has nothing to do with it, right? And so I stopped them and I said, man, it's just so amazing to look at you guys and see your wife is recovering, see that you're at the end of your recovery, but you guys are supporting one another in your walk. I said, man, I pray one day that I find what you guys are sharing in this very moment. And they just busted out laughing, and they was just like, man, thank you and God bless. And that is because I'm drinking from positivity every single day. And therefore, I'm thinking positively every single day. And therefore, I'm walking in an expectation to not only give positivity, but to receive it and get it back in return. And so when you get this thing, kings and queens, when you understand the principle of what you're drinking from, if you're drinking from gossip, you'll think on a plane of gossip every single day. Therefore, you'll become that. That's why you can walk down the street, or you can walk into your job, or you can be in some area and you hear older people just sitting around gossiping. Why? Because that didn't just start that day. They've been doing that. They've been drinking from the well of gossip all their lives. Therefore, they thought that way. They think about things to gossip about. They find those things to gossip about. And now they're nothing but gossipers. That's it. That's just a reality. And so it's a blessing, man, to understand this principle and this law, kings and queens. Again, Simon T. Bailey said, whatever well you drink from will be the well that you think from, and eventually it'll be the well you become. Let me say that one more time. Simon T. Bailey said, whatever well that you drink from will be the well that you think from, and eventually it'll be the well that you become. And so when you grasp that principle, when you understand that if I'm drinking from the well of success, I'll begin to think successful thoughts. Inevitably, eventually, invariably, I will become successful. It is a law, it is a principle. If you understand that, you'll begin to seek consciously the positive and the optimistic things in life to drink from. Period. If I'm experiencing hate, right? And I want to experience nothing but love, right? I will start drinking from love. So if I see a party over here and in this party they're experiencing or expressing nothing but love, well, let me go around that so I can experience some of that. Therefore, if I'm drinking from that, I'll start thinking that way, and inevitably I'll become that way. It's literally principle, kings and queens. I'm telling you, man, and it's so amazing that we've made life so complex when it's so simple. And that's why, Paul would say things like, man, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure. And he went on and listed a long list of things. He said, think on these things. Uncle Paul knew that, man, I was out there killing people who were striving to be believers. But when God took, man, my life from me in the sense of the way that I used to be, and blinded me, and then when he opened my eyes and allowed me to see the truth, and I start walking as a believer myself, I understand that I was conformed to the world. So the only way that I can be transformed is by renewing my mind. So he understood that it was about his thinking. He was thinking negatively. He was thinking in so much anger. He was thinking in so much bitterness. Why? What was before that? Because that's what he was drinking from. From a child, he was around those negative people. Man, if they believe in Christ, if they believe in God, kill them. So he was around this. So he educated himself on this. He literally engulfed his whole life in it. He submerged his whole life in it. And therefore he became a believer hater and a believer killer. And he was going around killing them, putting hits out on them. Why? Because that's what he was drinking from. So inevitably he started thinking like that. And invariably he became that. So when you understand why he said, man, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are just, and went on and on and on to say, think on these things. He didn't even say act on these things. He said, think on these things. Why? Because he knew that if you drank from that, and then if you thought from that, inevitably you would become that, kings and queens. It's amazing, man, how you grasp the simplicity, in life. And you recognize that, man, it's not this challenging for me to be great. It's not this challenging for me to be good. It's not this challenging for me to have the positive attitude and for me to go on to be the best version of myself. I just simply must find principle. And this is what I'm sharing with you, what Simon T. Bailey said this morning. Again, I'm going to keep repeating it. Whatever well you drink from will be the well that you think from, and eventually it will be the well you become. Why I keep saying this? Because it meant that much to me to understand that that is just a principle. And principles run this earth. Principles in your finances, principles in your relationships, principles in your friendships, principles in constructing a building, principles in building a city, principles in politics, principles in law. When you understand this, it'll change your life forever, kings and queens. Because the whole world is not governed by feelings and emotions. It had nothing to do with what I felt yesterday as we were talking to this couple. As we were talking to this older couple, and they were moved because they seen the principle that we lived on. They knew that they were going to deal with young kings who lived in truth. Therefore, as an Irish woman and an Italian man, we want you to speak life, principalities into our son who's going back to college. It had nothing to do with y'all was black. It had nothing to do with that y'all could have potentially been ex-drug dealers or ex-criminals or ex-offenders. None of that mattered. The principle that you kings are living by right now, we know and believe that it will impact our young son's life right now. And so they extended invitations to come and be a part of what it is that they're doing. Why? Because they saw principle. They didn't see anything else. They saw principle. Their feelings and emotions wasn't involved in it. It was principle. So that's why I'm saying to you today, kings and queens, whatever well you're drinking from, if it's pessimism, then that's what you're going to think. And if you think that way, kings and queens, then that's what you will become. You have that much authority. You have that much power. They say, well, God controls my life. God gave you free will, kings and queens. God finished everything for you, kings and queens. God built and established everything for you, kings and queens, and then said, go and have dominion, meaning have rule, meaning have authority, meaning have mastery, meaning have leadership, meaning have governship. Why? Because I created you to be like me. Why would I create you to be like me and then put shackles on your ability? Then put a ceiling on your ability. Then put a cap on your potential. Why would I do that as Father God, who's infinite, who's Alpha and the Omega, who's all in all, who's all power, who's all knowledge? Why would I then create you from me and then say that there's a cap, there's a limit on you? Then put these chains and shackles on you when I say who the Son set free is free indeed. So why would I say all of these things and then say that you're bound by what I say and what I do? No, I give you laws and principles to guide you. I give you laws and principles to protect you. I give you laws and principles so if you stray, you can always come back to the laws and principles. That's all that is. But you have free will to be as great as you were created to be. So that is your choice, kings and queens. But if you do not understand this, you'll always be sitting back with your hands open like this, waiting for God to drop something in you instead of putting your hands out and your mind for it and going to create it, creator. The Creator created us to be creative. And so if you're not using your creativity, understanding that there is the principles that are at the foundation, then you'll never be the greatest version of yourself, kings and queens. We are some of we are the most amazing entity and species and the apex of God's creation in the earth. I'm telling you. So when you understand that these things are brought about by principle, you'll take your emotions and your feelings out of it and use your emotions and your feelings as the power to push the principle. Not put your emotions and feelings before the principle. It's principle over feelings. It's principle over emotions. Use the principle first. Well, what's the principle, Drew? Whatever well you drink from will be the same well that you think from. And eventually it will be the well you become. I was drinking from the well of obesity, so I became obese. I start drinking from the well of the lifestyle of health and wellness, and I started thinking that way, and therefore I was created to win at it. I was built to win at it. I had the anatomy, the genetic makeup to win at this. Therefore, I became it. So me becoming a professional bodybuilder was nothing to God. I already built that, son. I already finished that. You got that. Me becoming fit for the next 7 years of my life, son. I said that, do you not know that your body is the temple? Why would my temple be destroyed if I'm living inside of it? I want my temple to be immaculate so that I can carry myself in it the way that it's supposed to be carried in it. Bottom line, again, I created you to be healthy. I created you to be successful. I created you to prosper in health just as your soul prosper. I created you to have this. Therefore, your responsibility, because your authority, because of my commandment, is for you to have dominion over your body, to rule over food. Therefore, I just did what I applied the principle. I started drinking from health and wellness. Let me get around it. Let me put myself in the atmosphere. Let me start asking questions. Let me start seeing people who are doing it. Why? Because if I drink from it, then that will become my conscious mind. And therefore, with that being my conscious mind, the more and more that I force feed my conscious mind and it gets into my subconscious mind, which is the heart or the mind in the Bible, the words heart and mind in the Bible, it gets into my subconscious mind, which is the memory bank. That's how you're able to brush your teeth every morning without thinking about it, because you've done it repetitively. When I get around it and I force feed my conscious mind and it gets down into my conscious mind, I become it. Principle. That's all that it is. I'm telling you, kings and queens, it's no deeper than that. That's what it is. It is the principle of drinking from what it is that you desire to have and be in life. Therefore, you'll start thinking that way, and by law, by principle that is infallible, that is irrefutable, you'll become it, kings and queens. I promise you, I'm not here to make this stuff up. I live it every single day. Don't look at me like I got it. Look at me like, man, Drew, he's on it every single day. I'm about to go and put my headphones on and download more audios that is encouraging me to stay thinking like this for the next few hours every single day. Because I understand that it has nothing to do with how I'm feeling right now. That's it. It has nothing to do with how I'm feeling. That's what you guys do not understand. It has absolutely nothing to do with how I'm feeling. It has everything to do with the principle. Why? Because the principle surmounts the feeling. People who are not having results in their life that they desire is because they're living by emotion, not principle. By emotions, by feelings. It is principle that will take you to the next level of life. So I want to be a husband. Drink it. I want to be a multi-billionaire. Drink it. I want to be the most influential speaker in history. Drink it. I want to be the best father that I can be to my children. Drink it. I want to be the best son that I can be to my mother. Drink it. I want to be the best son that I can be to my Father God. Drink it. I want to be the best. I'm telling you, man, it's principle, kings and queens. So in the midst of me going through a position right now where my car can potentially be breaking down, what am I drinking? Optimism. Oh man, I just put $1,000 in it and it needs $4,000 or $5,000 more worth of work. Well, what you gonna drink, Drew? Optimism. Well, what about, man, the principles of the kingdom, man? The principles of the kingdom say that, man, this thing should be working for you, blah, 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 blah. All right, well, I must keep drinking it until it happens. Well, nah, man, you believe in kingdom, man. How did you just lose the best woman that you ever had in life? What I'm gonna drink? Optimism. Well, Drew, man, what about, man, your children, man? Your son about to go back to Harlem, man, and he's not around no more for the whole year, and blah, blah. What I'm gonna drink? Optimism. Why? Because I understand principle. It has nothing to do with what I'm feeling. But my feelings right now. I'm going to keep drinking optimism. Why? Because I have the ability to become the most influential speaker in the world. I have the ability to become a multi-billionaire in the world. He said, I, Father God, give you the power to produce wealth. Why? To establish and prove my covenant with your forefathers. I have the ability to become the best father in the world. He said, I'm going to turn the hearts of the fathers back to their children and the hearts of the children back to their fathers. I have the ability because of principle to be the best husband in the world. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. For this reason, a father shall leave his mother and a man shall leave his mother and father and cling to one woman. I have the ability because of principle. So because I understand that, all I have to do in the midst of everything that seems like it's falling apart is keep standing on a foundation of principle and drinking from the well of optimism. I'm telling you, kings and queens, it works like this, and they cannot stop me. I will be the best version of myself before I close my eyes, and the world will know it. But I want you to become the best version of yourself by standing on a foundation of principle. Simon T. Bailey said, whatever well you drink from will be the well you think from, and eventually it will be the well you become. I love you guys. God bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in and allowing me to share my gift with you guys. Have a fantastic Friday. But remember, it's not a look, it's a lifestyle. Because we do this every day, not to impress people, but to leave an amazing impression in the earth. God bless you guys. I love you guys. Peace.